Hey everyone, and welcome back to my channel. My name is Jessie. If you are new here, I talk about all things lifestyle, which what does that even mean? For me, lifestyle is talking about just starting my new business. It's talking about the things that I get done in my new life here in Raleigh, North Carolina. And it talks about living with chronic illness. So I really like to tie in things like finances, personal development, all that kind of stuff, and how I deal with all of those things coming from the lens of someone that is chronically dealing with different pain and issues that I deal with on the daily. So without further ado, I want to jump into today's video, which is actually going to be telling you guys how I planned my 2021, at least the beginning, and why I'm not necessarily planning goals. Today, I want to take you through the words that I chose for 2021, how I chose those words, what they mean to me, and why I'm not necessarily making goals for 2021. So when it comes to 2020, I feel like I made all of these like huge goals in the beginning of the year, and I had no idea how they would happen. They weren't thought out. They were just like pay off all of my debt, quit my job, do all of these things that I didn't really have a plan for. So then 2020 hit. I went into my own type of depression. I was on the couch all year. I gained weight. I just wasn't myself, and I lost a lot of my motivation and inspiration to continue going after the things that I want. So while a few of my goals did actually end up working themselves out last year, like I moved to Raleigh, I did quit my job, I was able to save some money and pay off a little bit of debt. It's so hard because you look back at these goals and I didn't meet most of them because I set really specific goals, which I think are really important. And I'm not bashing goals right now. I'm just saying for me going into 2021, my whole life I have been very goal oriented. I've been very specific with my goals, SMART goals, all that kind of stuff. But this year I'm going to do things a little bit differently. And the reason I'm doing that is because I am your typical achiever type, your typical goal oriented, wants to get everything done type of person. And it's just exhausting, honestly. And one of the things that I really want to move into is more of that like feminine, embodied, loving myself type of person. And with that, for me, that means I need to I need to move away from only focusing on very specific goals. And if I don't meet that very specific goal, then I failed. It's either you pass or you fail for me when it comes to goals. So that's why I'm moving away from them. So I've been chatting a little bit too long, but I want to tell you guys what my two words are, and then we'll get into what that means for me and how you can choose your own words for 2021. So my word this year, I have a word and then like a sub word. They go together. I couldn't pick one. It's just like a decision thing for me. I couldn't just pick one. So I chose cherish as my word for the year. And then with that, I also kind of am using nourish as a sub label of that. So my intention for 2021 is to cherish and nourish not only myself, but those in my life around me. So I want to cherish and nourish myself. That means with health, that means with self-care, that means with taking care of my mind, taking care of my mornings, which I'll get into in a minute. That means cherishing and nourishing my relationships. So that means my life with my husband, that means new friendships, and then cherishing and nourishing this new path that I'm on of creating my own income. So business type things and where I want to go with that. So having those overarching words for me and those intentions are much more helpful into actually planning out goals. So I didn't want to get into the year and be like, I want to make $10,000 months by January or by July. I want to pay off all of my debt by December. I would love to do all of those things, but I'm setting myself up for failure if I don't even know why I'm moving toward those types of things, which is what I've done in the past. So these are the types of things that I'm planning to do under those words. And each month, my goals, maybe even each week, will change. Let's talk about the pieces of what I am doing in order to feel like I am incorporating, cherishing, and nourishing my life. So one of the first things that I will be doing, which is, it's one thing, but there's a lot wrapped up into it, and that is a morning routine. So if you guys have followed along with me on Instagram, then you guys know that I used to be very into morning routines last year, and then COVID hit and I basically just stopped doing any type of time for myself. So that's something that I really want to work on getting back into this year. So a morning routine, though, is going to have things within it that nourish me. So they nourish my mind, they nourish my time for myself. They help me cherish how I'm feeling with myself. And that means self-care. For me, that means meditation. But instead of being like, every day I'm going to get up and meditate for 5 minutes, I'm going to pull a card, I'm going to go for 30 minutes of exercise. That's just like too many goals that I might miss. So what I'm going to do is have a morning routine and have different things that I can do each day depending on where I'm feeling or how I'm feeling within my cycle, within my chronic illness, all of those kinds of things. So for me, that might mean that I'm going to meditate one day and drink a tea, or the next day I might journal and ride on my bike watching a YouTube video for a half hour, or maybe I'm going to take a bath in the morning before I start work. Anything that gets me up in the morning and helps me feel very nourished and cherished. So that is like my biggest piece that I really want to focus on, especially in January, is creating that habit again of doing a morning routine. I'm planning to do a whole video on like how to create a morning routine that works best for you, because I understand that not everybody has an hour or two to put into a morning routine. Maybe you only have 15 minutes, but how can you create that time for you? Another piece of that cherish and nourish is to nourish my body. So for me, that means a couple of things. I have, like I said, I have Hashimoto's. It is an autoimmune disease. So there are certain foods that tend to be very inflammatory for me, and they can create different symptoms that make me not feel so great. So maybe that is brain fog, maybe that is migraines, maybe that is fatigue. So all of those types of things that aren't going to make me feel very great, I want to be able to really nourish my body in the best way possible so that I can counteract some of those feelings. So for me, that means exercising a little bit more. That means moving a little bit more. That means cutting out inflammatory food. So for me, what I'm doing, I'm actually weaning myself off of caffeine because I want to see how that will help with my anxiety. I've had a lot more anxiety in the last year. I think a lot of us have with 2020, but it's something that I want to kind of counteract. So I'm going to try doing that with cutting out caffeine. I guess technically 3 foods I'm planning to cut out in January just to see how I feel is rice, corn, and alcohol. I don't really drink alcohol very often, and we don't really go anywhere, so I don't have drinks very often. But rice and corn, I was very dependent on, especially when I was doing a vegan diet, which I'm not doing anymore. But these are the types of things that I know tend to make me feel inflamed, which for me is puffy, my joints hurt, I get a lot of headaches, I get a little bit of brain fog, that kind of thing. So that's how inflammation shows up in my body. So those are things I want to cut out this month, see what happens. What I have decided is that I'm just not going to eat it at home. So if we get takeout or anything like that, or for example, my birthday is at the end of the month, we'll probably go out to eat. If I want to have something that has rice or corn in it, or if I want to have a drink, then I will, but my birthday's not till the 30th, so I have plenty of time. I want to read more, nourishing my brain, nourishing my future development. So there's things that I really want to learn. I want to understand more so that I can possibly provide that service and or just know it for my own being. So that's a way that I want to nourish myself. I plan to meditate more, which is something within my morning routine. Meditating for me is amazing. It's not for everyone. For me, I really love about 10 minutes of guided meditation. If I can do it every day, that's amazing. I can't always do it every day, but I notice that it really helps with my anxiety. It helps with my sleep. It helps with my overall sense of being, and I don't feel as like attacked by the day, if that makes sense. So meditation might not work for you, but that's a way that I plan to nourish myself and kind of feed up into that cherish bucket. My second to last one is stressing less or surrendering. So I tend to get really wrapped up in something, especially if it's connected to someone else. I still have some people pleasing pieces in my mind. So I really want to try to stress less. If I notice myself stressing about what a client said or stressing about something else, I want to be able to notice that and see if I can calm myself down a little bit. And then last but not least, I want to follow my intuition and my passions a little bit more. So if you're new here, I quit my very, very toxic job back in November and ended up jumping right into building my own social media business to kind of sustain me in this period of figuring out what I want to do. I've been doing social media management for 10 years and I love helping female entrepreneurs. So right now I'm working with six female entrepreneurs and doing their social media and online business management for them. It's something that I'm passionate about, I really love, but I know that that's not necessarily my like purpose in life, but it's something that I really like to do. So that's what I'm doing. But what I want to do to continue to like nourish that piece of myself is to also look into other things that I like to do. So I'm actually looking right now, my flute is in this little contraption that you're sitting on right now. It's something that I really used to love to play. I would like to learn, relearn how to play it again. And I'm really interested in astrology. So I have an astrology book that I would really like to spend some time, maybe in my morning routine, reading a little bit more about. And then another thing is I've always been really interested in real estate. Not really sure I want to be like a real estate agent, but I am interested in learning more about it. So I might watch some videos about it. My landlord is actually a real estate agent, so I might even just ask him if he would have like a call with me and tell me what do real estate agents even do. And that's what I mean by like following my intuition and my passions. What sounds interesting to me and what can I learn about it? It doesn't mean that I'm going to become an astrologer or I'm going to become a real estate agent. It just means that I'm going to notice when I feel interested in something and go with that. And hopefully that'll continue to lead me toward my purpose, my passions. I don't necessarily think that you only have one purpose in life, but I would like to just feel into these other things that I've always been really interested in, but too afraid to make time for. So that's how I really want to nourish and cherish myself this year, is making sure that I'm really, really taking care of myself, of my health, of my mental state, of my relationships, and that in turn will be how I'm cherishing myself and taking care of me. How can you come up with your own word? I think the first thing that you can do is think about how you want to feel in 2021. I think instead of being like, what do I want to achieve this year? How do I want to feel? Do you want to feel free? Do you want to feel less stressed? Do you want to feel happier? And I think from there, sometimes that can be your word right there. If you want to feel more free, maybe your word is freedom. If you want to feel more loved, maybe your word is love. So I think that that's a way that you can choose a word, but I think that you can also think about ways that would help you feel that way. So if gaining financial freedom would help you feel more free, if leaving your job, if doing things that you're passionate about are something that you are really looking for and how you want to feel, then maybe your word is purpose. Maybe your word is or purposeful. Maybe your word is passionate. Maybe your word is intentional. So all of these words kind of encapsulate how are you going to create that feeling for yourself. So for example, how I want to feel with my words. I want to feel loved. I want to feel soft. I want to feel open. I want to feel expansive. I want to feel abundant. So for me, in order to create that feeling, my intention is to cherish and nourish myself. And from there, cherish and nourish my business and my friendships and my relationships. And that is what is going to lead me to feel the way that I want to feel in 2021. So now, this whole video wasn't to like bash people that are making goal setting videos. I think those are spectacular. And you know what? I'm probably going to set some more concrete goals. But for me, 2020 was hard. I'm still kind of recuperating and trying to like get my mental health and my regular health back in a good place. So instead of making goals, like very set, specific goals, I'm working on making feelings. And from there, I can create concrete goals later that maybe feel better. So I think that one thing that a lot of people hate about January 1st, about this resolution culture, is that you have to make all these goals in January 1st. Like, I just started my business 6 weeks ago. I have no idea what my goal is. Like, I have no idea if saying I want to make $10,000 a month by 6 months from now even is tangible, even is possible. So I don't want to make a goal based on something that I know nothing about. Instead, what I want to do is take some time to really feed into myself and create little goals along the way. I think that's so much easier to achieve those goals. I think it's so much easier on your psyche, on your heart, on your health, to not be so focused on these huge goals that maybe you don't know about. So I'm not saying don't plan any goals. I'm just saying that maybe you don't have to be so overarchingly goal-oriented, and you can instead make smaller, more achievable goals that will help you get to where you want to feel in 2021, which I think is way more important. As an achiever, a definite Enneagram Type 3, as a person that is constantly trying to do everything to perfection, let me just tell you that it is exhausting. And after being forced into a space of pulling back and understanding that I wasn't going to reach my goals, that was when I was like, wow, maybe I need a little bit more time to like feel into what feels good to me versus only doing what I have to. So I hope that was really helpful. If you have a word that you're going to use for 2021, let me know down in the comments. I would love to know what they are so we can connect with each other and keep each other accountable. I hope this video was helpful for you. I know that there's a lot of planning and 2021 goal setting videos out there, and I thought it was important to show a different point of view that maybe wasn't so goal oriented, coming from a person that is extremely goal oriented. I'm going to try something a little different this year and see what happens. But thank you so much for watching. If you haven't already, please like the video and subscribe if you haven't already. And I will see you in Friday's video. Thank you so much, and I will see you later. Bye.